On our Found in Translation segment, we wanted to give the Bomba Live community our take on a Politico article, the omnibus news for Democrats in Pennsylvania, the Latino belt. It looks like some of our Democrats are swaying towards the Republican Party. Ralph, do you think the Latinos are drifting towards Trump?
This is very interesting. When this article came out, I was at shout out to our great friend, State Representative Danilo Burgos. We were actually at the White House for a Dominican celebration, which we'll talk about on a future episode with Dionelli and with the Dominicans. But I was up in there representing Monica. Like, you don't even unbelievable. It was unbelievable. So had to represent, and we were actually having this conversation saying, y'all got to give us some resources because we need to communicate with our people. Because when people don't hear stuff, then other things get in the mix. So first of all, I find it interesting that they use the phrase the Latino belt. That actually is a play off what they used to call, or they still call, the Rust Belt of the country, which is like those industrial rural areas in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Ohio. The ones that, they're the political class is obsessed with, how working class white folks, that a lot of them have used to be Democrats in the old days, are now Republicans. And so now they're kind of playing off that because they just discovered that we took Reading over in Allentown and Hazleton. So you just should have went to the lakes. You could have known that. You went to Nacogdoches, I could have told you that we took over it's a minute ago.
Marsh Creek,
Marsh Creek, Neshaminy. I mean, come on now. But in all seriousness, that the article laid out, I think, what we kind of pretty much knew, that we know from the polling. Typically, we were the Latino electorate in Pennsylvania, which was almost all Puerto Rican back in the days, was kind of an 80-20, 75-25, real strong Democratic electorate. It's adjusted. Lots of reasons for that. I think part of it is Democrats need to do a better job engaging our folks. Part of it is we're more spread out. So we're in some of these rural Republican areas, and people, that rubs off too. And Trump is kind of a singular figure from the old school New York memories of him being, he's just a very brand that for different reasons attracts people. So Monica, when you read this article, I know it's like, part of it's like, well, I could have wrote this. I could have told you so. We got a few people, that are thinking that way. So Monica, what's your reaction to people's concerns? And let's keep it real. We all got a couple cousins that are in this conversation. So let's break it down.
Absolutely. I think there's two main reasons why, or to me anyway, two main reasons. I agree, nobody's listening or paying attention to the Latinos right now. But I think it has a lot to do for two things. One, they look at Trump and they're like, oh, él tiene un casino. That's all they know, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll say, oh,
he got money.
That's it. He got money. He knows how to run a business.
La Mujer Vega.
He must be right. He must be right.
He controls them. Yeah.
It's almost like clickbait. Like, click. Oh, I like
him. Es
famoso. Tiene
duro.
Dinero. El gallo el papá de los gallos.
It's like a very old school Latin American macho man kind of thing.
Is it? Yeah. It is. Yeah. And then, one of the bigger things that I think is a huge hot topic right now is, abortion, right? The bans on abortion. And if we really, really, if you know Latinos, our culture is heavy on religion.
Yeah.
It is heavy on somos cristianos, somos católicos, nosotros no creemos en eso. That, I think, is the biggest sound bit that Trump can throw out there that all Latinos jump on.
Yeah.
It's that, the abortion topic. It's huge.
It's so interesting because, the Republicans, since we were babies, have always had, like, in the Latino community, like that hard 20%. And a lot of it was single issue. It was just, the pastor told me that the other people are killing the babies, and that's it.
That's it.
Even though if you survey them on every other issue or most other issues, they tend to lean left. Healthcare, economic access, unionization, but whatever the pastor tells me, I do.
Yeah,
so there's that on steroids, because a lot of our community is moving away from the Catholic Church and going to more conservative Pentecostal evangelical churches that are more pastor centered instead of like the whole institution. So there is that piece, and then there's like this real guy flavored macho man thing.
Yeah.
And social media influenced, because it's a lot of that. Biden es racista. Biden he's an old fuddy duddy. And look at Trump. So I know with the shop you run into these young boys or these youngish guys that are so what can we tell them? I guess it's kind of the point. We're not going to get them all back.
Yeah.
But, and look, nobody's sitting here like, oh, Biden's so incredible. We criticize him all the time.
Right.
But, there's obviously a clear difference here. So how do we address this? How do we start having the conversation with people that maybe haven't drunk all the Kool-Aid, but they're curious?
Yeah.
You know what
and
I mean?
I think that the best way for me to relate And I'm talking about down to the basics.
That's it.
And it's kind of like,
It's the only way to do it.
you know, like, I get it. Tú te crees que es macho. He's got the, you know, the casinos going on and all of this. And I'm thinking at the end of the day, no matter who's the elected official, whoever's the president, we're still going to make our money, right? Because we find the loopholes. Us Latinos, like in general, people who own small businesses, we're going to make our money no matter what, right? So at the end of the day, I'd be like, los recursos que tú usas, tu abuelita, tu tía, tu prima, tu hermana, are they on any type of resource? And they'd be like, bueno, sí, los cupones. I'm like, okay, well, that's all driven off of who's in that office.
That's right.
So
That's right.
cuando no vean más nada.
And they're trying to cut SNAP every
And
which
look,
way to Sunday, fam.
And they catch on quick.
Yeah.
They catch on quick. Because
And
you got to
forget it,
get...
Puerto Rico, forget it.
That's it. That's it.
Trump.
La tarjeta de la familia, like, when that disappears, then what?
Yeah.
We are involved in the movement around, well, a couple of the healthcare movements, paid leave
Mm-hmm.
and the prescription drug piece.
Mhm.
And one of the things we're looking at is what you just hit on, which is we need to talk to the guys about how even if when they lowered prescription drugs for diabetes medication, even it only impacted seniors, but that impacted your mom, that impacted your grandfather. So because I think our people will respond to those intergenerational messages.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Christina, it's interesting because your crowd is very much kind of like the ride or dies for the Democrats. He's like upperly mobile, educated women of color.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean? They're like all this nonsense.
Yeah.
So what are the conversations happening in your network around how do we not so much talk to them about it, but how do we educate how they're educating their networks around it? Because I mean, and the domestic violence issue of Wawa is a very big part of this equation. But so how are they thinking about how they're going to talk to, and what do y'all need to give you the tools to reach out to your networks to get people mobilized for November?
Well, that's true. WAVA was a big thing, and Biden was huge on, starting that. So I think that, I mean, you said it yourself. These are all very strongly Democratic women. The women that I hang around are all women who are educated, very well educated, and they're still very strong on Democrat. I think, what I found to me that's more humorous is not even my age range, but the age range that's following now behind us. The 18-year-olds, the 20-year-olds, because they're kind of like swaying. Like, I have a 16-year-old daughter. She can't vote yet, but she has talked about going Republican. And I'm like, really? Explain
And why is that?
She just, and I think it's because of the same thing. They're not educated to the things that we already are accustomed to and are educated to ourselves or privy to. All she sees as well is like, she sees videos on TikTok and Biden fell. He can't keep himself up when he's at a news conference.
Like he's gonna spill over the button.
So they're just like, he's just a stronger candidate,
And who's denying the funding for the wars?
Yeah.
And who's denying the funding for, to protect Ukraine, so yeah.
Yeah. So I think they just are not educated. And I think that's what we need to do is kind of not even focus, because I think people in our age range kind of are educated enough to know the difference between, okay, Republican, Democrat, let me see what I choose. I think it's the younger people who are coming up. They're the people we need to start working on, because those younger Latinos, they need to be educated with what we already know so that they can make better decisions.
It was interesting. So me and Danilo, so this is like real political. This is the real deal. Y'all don't even know the levels. So me and Danilo, so I'm at this Dominican event. I'm with Danilo and like 5 other, not just Dominican leaders, but Dominican elected officials from Redding and downtown those places. Shout out to Councilwoman Mota and our buddy Manny Guzman, our state rep in Redding. And we cornered this big shot White House Latino guy. We literally cornered him. I said, y'all are spending all this money with love and amor to all these people because they watch the show. You get all the consultants spending all this money doing focus groups and doing studies, and you have the leadership. These are the people that the community votes for.
Yeah,
they're in the hood. They live in it. They in it every day. Why don't you empower them to do this? And so my call to y'all DC consultant people that are always texting me because y'all don't know any other Pennsylvania Latinos, get to know our leadership and empower them.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't have a better story. And I'm going to, with my resources, with Unidos US Action Fund, I'm going to be telling the story of these women and the Danilos and all, because we have all the resources, all the knowledge here and the know-how about run campaigns and to talk to our people. But if we just stay in DC worried about it, we're going to lose.
Yeah.
So take that political article as a clarion